everyone.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
It's so strange every time we pre-record. There is no one. We're talking to no one. Where are
I
you
know.
guys?
I got real excited, and then I realized there's not gonna be a little bloop, 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 little hearts or anything on the side.
But it's okay. We're always gonna still bring you guys an episode. Technology has been crazy. Like, no, I cannot imagine the whole world just freaking out. Like,
It's so funny because for a lot of people, Facebook is the internet. It's not just a platform.
right.
So everybody was losing their shit. You see, this is why we cannot be dependent on this caca.
And guess where they all go? Twitter, because it's independent. It's not connected to any of the other ones. What?
You know how I feel about Twitter, so I won't go there.
Well, I choose that platform on my own. The only one I actually truly enjoy. I hate everything else, but it's fine. We're here.
Yeah, I think Facebook is the devil's armpit.
It's okay. It's happening like that. That's how I feel about
Instagram, even WhatsApp, all the things, and that's how we communicate and share, like all the stuff for the episodes is through WhatsApp. And I was like, what? And through Androids, things get pixelated. So we made it happen. We're here.
I've never seen so many regular text messages on my phone ever.
It was very weird.
I was like, okay, everybody's coming. Everybody still has a way of communicating. You know what's funny for our guest today? I was like, do I have their personal phone numbers? Oh my God, how am I going to contact them? The only way is through Instagram or through Facebook. And then I realized, I'm like, wait, I do have their actual contact.
There's a way. I laugh because my notifications for text is a different sound than WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And my phone's going off. And my mom's like, are you going to get it? I'm like, oh, that's mine.
You that's me. Yeah. Well, you guys are today is World Music Day episode.
Yeah.
Because on October 1st, is International Music Day, aka World Music Day. So me and Vanessa thought, why not bring a fun episode and actually talk about what we both love, music. Wait, where is yours located? Because I can't remember where your tattoo is located of your music one. Oh yeah, it's on your shoulder. I wonder how many musicians have this, or how many music lover actually have this tattoo.
I feel like everyone either has like a treble clef, and this is probably like I wanted to get this one too. The one that's like the treble clef and the bass clef, but they make a heart.
Oh yeah,
I see so many people with that one. Every music person has their thing, either their instrument. My cousin Baye has a violin, and she on her finger has the bow, so she can play
that's cute.
She has it like here.
I wouldn't know how to tattoo a piano on me. How would that look like?
There are ways. That's real big.
Well, today's elephant is a level 2. You know, I mean,
if y'all had issues with music, I don't know. I feel sad for you.
I mean, I have issues with some particular music or like songs, you could say, but not necessarily.
I feel like if it's not your liking, just don't listen. Right? But in general, like everyone connects to music in a way.
Yeah.
Whether it's instrumental, I'm a big lyrics person.
Yeah, me too.
I'm big into lyrics. But when you find that type of music or the songs that it's like the actual music, right? The rhythm, the melody, all that goes so well with the lyrics, you're like, it gets me and giving me the words and the things.
I love lyrics, especially I like music or lyrics that mean something, that have meaning. I mean, granted, there's some songs that people talk about bitches and hoes and cars and money. Okay, fine, to each their own. They all sing whatever the hell they want to sing. But I feel like sometimes music loses its actual, like, yes, it is for entertainment purposes, and I understand that. It is. Maybe that's why I don't actually listen to those songs, because they don't entertain me particularly.
I mean, I appreciate this one show that's called The Soundtrack or something like that. It talks about how music has infiltrated every part of our life, and every song ever written is in one way or another a love song. And I was like, no, it's not. And I thought about it. And then it goes into the detailed monologue about why, because it's not just love for yourself, love for another person. It's love of a craft, love of a this, love of it, but it's love in some way, or the
Right.
loss of love, but it all stems from the same thing. And it's like, holy crap, it really is. I think it's called Soundtrack, the show. But it was so great. And then people like bust out into song. You know, I
I think
studied musical theater, so
talking
people
about
busting
that.
out into songs is great.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't recall.
What the actual name is. It has great monologues about what music is. And it's the guy teaching his son about the meaning of music and how it brought him and his mother together. But I thought it spoke to my musical side in that sense, because I'm like, it's true. You can, anything in your life, there's something playing in the background, right? That helps you remember that moment, that first kiss, or that song you were listening to just before that real bad car accident, right?
Or
Our
real bad.
lives have soundtracks.
It doesn't have to be so tragic, Dios mío, but
I
yeah.
know, but I had to give the two extremes.
That is how I met so many great musicians that I know today, through going to, since I'm a event photographer, I shoot bands and stuff. That's how I met a bunch of people, just going
That's
to
to be
the
so freaking
concert,
cool.
just being a concert photographer and just sitting there or standing, obviously, and just
I love
shooting.
going to see local like bands, local DJs, local artists of any kind. So like locally, and when I travel to other cities, if I can catch like a live show, it's very exciting.
I love doing that
And I
too.
love the feature on Spotify that it like introduces you to other artists. So if you listen to the Pepe Sanchez radio, it'll
Yeah,
play other people that sound similar
yeah,
to that genre or whatever Pepe Sanchez does. And then you are introduced to these other artists from all over the freaking world that you may have never heard of or listened to. That's
right.
perfect.
You know what's ironic, that I do not like live music from famous bands, like world known bands, but I like
Wow.
live music from local bands. I don't know. I've never been into that. I've never been into going to see.
But what is it? What is the band that you love, that you got the tattoo of them and everything? Benjamin,
Except Breaking Benjamin, I did go see
Breaking
them.
Benjamin. If they played live, you'd be there.
I went once. I cried my ass off, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I mean, they sounded exactly like there's their actual audio in the album. I guess that's why I like them.
Yeah. But
They don't.
there's
Good
nothing
point.
like listening to live music, and
Yeah,
as
I love.
somebody who performed like music live, singing live, I can, and I'm sure that our guest today can attest to this, that feeling that you get from a live audience when you're like pouring your guts out on a stage is delicious.
I mean, we could attest to that too in our own way. Performing poetry and you acting and
Oh
you know,
yeah, that too.
sort
This
of
is
the
true.
same. I think. But I'm
This is
very
true.
excited. I'm very excited for our guest. We're missing one. Brian, where are you?
Brian, where are you? Um,
But
so when people ask, really quick, when people ask you, what's your favorite kind of music? That
the
question
most
drives me nuts. But when somebody asks you that, what is your standard reply?
everything. I like it. I like music. It's good. I'll
And
listen
there
to
are people that take issue with somebody answering everything.
it. But it's
But it's
not with the
true. I listen to everything. There's some things you obviously may listen to more than others.
right.
But
Yeah,
I
I'm a
feel like who
hardcore.
hasn't listened to the Beatles?
I don't like the Beatles.
You don't like the Beatles, but you've heard them, right? You've listened to
Yeah,
the
I have
songs,
one. Yeah, one or two, but not like, oh my god, they're hardcore.
right? But you can like, if somebody, oh yeah, that's the Beatles, you can place it. They're expecting somebody to be like, I don't listen to anything but salsa.
Right. No, I would drive myself crazy just listening to salsa all day. But no, I mean, I listen to heavy metal, rock and like punk most of like majority of the time, but everything else in between, it's there.
I'm also really amused by the people that say, oh, I love this, but I don't like this other kind of music. And it's usually the kind of music that originated the music that they like.
Right.
right? So many people are like, oh, because rock is this and that. I'm like, you know where rock started, right?
I mean, it goes beyond the music, the history and all that. But most people don't want to do that. They just like, oh, I like this, and then this is it. That's it. They don't understand that it's just more than that. So, yeah. Oh, we don't have an audience today. I can forget. I'm like, oh, do we have any comments?
I was about to ask people something and write this in the chat. There's no chat. It's a lie.
No. But yeah,
it'll be there. They know they can write to us.
No, we do have our guests, so we gotta let them.
Let's get into it.
Say what's up. Okay, well, Chris is waiting. I see him there. So let's Eli and Elvis first. Oh, he's still not in. Hi.
Hi.
Hey girls, what's up?
Hi, now.
The band correct? That's the other question.
Yeah, I'm in a band.
But where's your other half? Where's Elvis?
He's taking care of the babies.
Okay.
Balance.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly. Perfect harmony.
So tell us the name of the band, the genre.
My band's name is the Leered. About me. Okay. My band's name is the Leered, and we've been called hardcore punk. And if you guys have ever heard of the Melvins, they said that we're like nice Melvins. It's very fuzzy music. I call it a fuzzy emotional two-piece music. That's what I call it. And it's me and my husband. I play guitar and I sing, and he's the drummer. We've been doing music since 2012, so this isn't foreign to us. But this is a new band, so this is just a new dynamic. We have 2 kids now, and we're just trying to deal with all the craziness and trying to express ourselves and give a message,
Yes, I remember when you guys were in tag and you guys were like kids. Oh my god, that was those days. 2012 is very far.
Oh my god, yeah. I met my husband in 2012. So it's funny when you were talking about how soundtracks was about the dad telling the son about how the I don't know that. I was like, oh, I gotta watch that because that's exactly our story. Like we met through music and we fell in love musically, but also like as friends, and that developed into more, and here we are, Yeah. And honestly, we just started doing music again because it just felt like a strong calling to just get back there and like spread a message of love and a message that faith it's important, and you need to discover yourself as a person and not look so much around you but look deeper. So it's about that.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're doing it now, but how is it managing a married life and with music at the same time?
Oh, it's not easy. When we had our first kid, it was so difficult, and every single time we wanted to get back into music, we couldn't. It was just too difficult. And then finally, like I said, this is a calling. This isn't something like, oh man, I look cool with a guitar, I'm gonna go play. When I was younger, yes, it was that, and I'm mature enough to admit that. I was like, dude, like I look so cool with a guitar and yada yada yada. You guys know. But now it's different. It's more meaningful, and I see it as a career path. It's not so much about that rock star lifestyle. It's more like, this is serious. This is impactful. This touches people's souls and hearts, and this changes people's lives, And it's like a powerful tool. It's like a power, and you want to wield it properly. So that's what we're trying to do. So honestly, being married and having kids and doing music, all we have to do is bring the kids into it. People usually try to separate the kid. Oh, I got to go to work and I'm working from home. How do I get this kid out of my way? We just got to leave them running around.
Yes, they learn respect for your craft, for what you do, when they feel a part of it.
Yeah, that's exactly how we do it. Then they play. Like my son grabs the ukulele, and a lot of people saw a video of it and they're like, oh my God, he's only 1 and he's playing. I'm like, yeah. My daughter plays drums and they love guitar. They love singing. Like they love it all. They're living in it. They're soaking it up.
You're gonna have little musicians by the time they're like.
That is too cute. They're gonna be like the Partridge Family all over again.
That'd be so cute. I love that.
What is your writing process? because you do the, or is it just one of you does the lyrics, or is it a joint effort?
We talk about what, okay, so I love writing. I've been writing since I was a kid. I started out writing just because I like to sing. And then in my teen years, my preteen years, I started writing out of anger. Like, just like my parents are pissing me off, school's pissing me off, the guy I like doesn't like me, stuff like that. Or my friend, she's being such a, and I would grab a red Sharpie and just like scribble, like, like so angry. And that's what I do now. Anything I get pissed off about in the world that I notice and I feel like, yo, this is hidden. Like, people need to know about this. I start writing, and then I talk to my husband about it, and then he agrees, and then he'll take it deeper, right? Because like two heads work better than one. And so we'll go from there and we'll bounce back ideas. But usually I write the lyrics, but we do work on the instrumentals together for sure.
Look at that. It's the soundtrack for No Filters, No Fears. All your music.
Live and in person.
The last one came out. I was so mad at the world. I was, I had to. I had
right? Dude, I would get my red Sharpie and and then I would hate it so much because it was filled with so much anger that I would throw them away in the trash. But it was like notebooks and notebooks and that was my therapist. My notebook was my therapist.
That's the best way to do it, I feel.
Yeah.
What was your first performance ever like for you?
My first performance. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, my first performance was in a show called Buscando las Estrellas. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it.
Yeah.
I was on that show. And I was like in middle school. And I went on the show. And I remember I went to go to this warehouse in Hialeah. And I tried out. I went into the guy's office. And I remember he kicked my family out. He told my brother and my mom, get out of the room. And then he's like, sing me a song. And I sang like a Gloria Estefan song. And I start wailing. And he's just like, espérate un momento. Esta niña, like this voice is coming out of this girl. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to get you on the show. But it's a different thing when you're going to perform in front of cameras in a live setting.
Oh.
It was a weird warehouse. But the only thing that was set up was the stage. And then the cameras were everywhere. The lights were everywhere. And it was just like the judges, like it was something as a kid I had never experienced and I wasn't ready for. So I think I did good, but I was so shy that like as soon as I was done singing, I ran out and I like never came back. And I remember they called my parents and they're like, where did she go? What happened? It's not the end yet, And I was like, no. I don't want to go back there. I'm not ready.
I couldn't even imagine.
But there's been growth since then.
Yes. That's why I've never shared this story before, but yeah, like it was. I mean, that was my first time singing in front of anyone that wasn't in my house. It was in front of cameras for live television for our beautiful but judgmental Hispanics, that everyone had a VCR recorder. Yeah, everyone had a VCR recorder, so there's tapes out there.
There's tapes out there of you. Oh.
What was that? Sorry.
No, now everybody knows the story behind it now, so it's okay.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I love it. Like life is filled with ups and downs, and we try to like, I don't know. I feel like there's a misconception with happiness. Like we try to be like, oh man, I gotta be happy. But sometimes you just gotta be down so that you can grow from it. And that was one of my moments. Like it wasn't the best moment, but I definitely grew from it because I was like, the next time I get on camera, I can't be shy.
Yeah,
that's the problem. I will be somewhere now, but can't.
Let me tell you, Chubby says that they're shy and the whole thing out. I don't know. 60 seasons in, I don't see it. I mean, not 60, 6 seasons in.
I think
60 episodes.
But it's okay. Maybe getting used to it little by little.
You seem comfortable.
Yes, I mean, it's happening.
So I see that now we have more talented people in the waiting area. So we're not saying goodbye, Ellie. No. You cannot go anywhere. You're gonna chillax because we're gonna bring everybody back at the end and have a big old chat. But we're gonna talk to Chris for a little bit. So don't go nowhere. Or I pop out you.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
What's up?
He was waiting patiently. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Hi, doing well, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Can you guys hear me good?
Yeah,
Yes.
I hear you perfectly.
All right, cool. I had to switch to the computer. I tried to do it on my phone, but
Listen, we hear you because technology today has not been cooperative.
yeah, for real.
Listen, I don't think we want to talk about technology right now.
My cat straight up knocks my computer off the desk, and it is no longer anything that looks like a laptop.
So there's that.
Yep.
So,
yes.
as you already know, tell us about yourself.
So, my name is Chris Gwappin. I'm a artist, singer, songwriter from Pennsylvania, middle of nowhere, really. If you guys remember the house from Courage the Cowardly Dog, that's about
that's your house in the middle of boop.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing music for?
Like seriously putting out music probably over 10 years now.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yes, very talented people today.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chubi, ask a question because we know I talk a lot.
Well, I can go all the way back to Smash Mouth with him because I know his music way. Like, what was it?
Go way back.
Yeah.
A long time.
Long time. So I don't know. You could ask other questions. My only question I had for you was like, how did his new album, Paper Face, came about? How did you get inspired to write that latest album he has?
Okay, yeah. So this was like right when COVID was really hitting, like when everything started shutting down and my work shut down, and I was home all the time, and like I think for like the first week or so, like everyone else, I was kind of just trying to figure out what the hell was going on and spending too much time on my phone looking at everyone freaking out. And I decided I need to put the phone down and just kind of disconnect from everything for a while. I was going through a breakup at the time, or a long-term relationship, so it was kind of crazy to go from that to just the whole world shutting down. So I decided to put the phone away and just kind of lock in and get to work on an album. I'm so proud of this album. I felt like for a long time I had a sound in my head that I really wanted to get out, and I would play with it here and there, but it wasn't coming out the right way. But with all that time, I felt like I was able to finally make the sound I was looking for so long, and I'm so proud of this album. And I felt like it was a good, healthy way to get all my feelings out and things I was going through at the time, and just finally make the project I was always hearing in my head. It turned out really
Sounds like therapy. Sounds like therapy. I think we all go through that.
Yeah.
Ellie had the notebook. And Chris has Paper Face is the album?
Yes, Paper Face.
It's super nice. I actually personally like it. I like and I'm a person that if I hear an album and like only 2 songs out of it is really good, I'm like, it's not the best album yet. But I like half of them.
Yeah, but that also says a lot. If only 2 songs are like there was effort in this, you're like somebody just needed to put out some albums, and the 2 songs was all they had.
That's what I was really going for too. I wanted to make one of those albums that you can't skip a track. Like I feel like as a music fan in general, there's very few albums like that, even from bands I love, that like you don't want to skip a track, and I wanted to focus on trying to make something like that. So I did it for myself. So
yes,
other people feel that way. That's awesome.
Yeah, no. Oh, I love how you need to listen to the album because I will. I
must. I mean, and this I'm gonna ask all three guests because it is my favorite. Because we're all performers, so we all know. What was your first performance like?
This okay, yeah, so good.
Do you notice that everybody's face is the same? We all do this. Oh, what happened? Like, the face of remembrance.
Mine's pretty insane, and I don't tell this story too much because I feel like half the time people don't even believe me. But my boys could back me up on this one. This is my first show I ever did, and my only show I ever did. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the time, my one buddy and his name's Strange Zoo. He lived in St. Petersburg, Florida at the time, and he got close with this guy that was like a show promoter. He would book the artist to come to these venues, and this was literally so my boys, my like Chubby knows, Blizzy and everybody, we all met through making music online. Like we didn't know each other prior to that. And just so for a long time making music together, we decided like, hey, let's all meet up. Let's meet up in St. Pete. He says he's gonna get us a show, so let's go all do a show together. So we get out there, and the first night it was back-to-back nights at the State Theater out there, and the first night was opening for Travis Scott, and I know this was before he was Travis.
Whoa.
Yes.
So first show, last show, open for Travis Scott. Just a little.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I didn't even know who he was at the time. My boy that was living out there was a big fan, and I think our spots were like 5-6 minutes each night. So I know, yeah. So we let him have the first night because he was so hyped for this guy, and we didn't know who he was. So we let him have that one, and there was a good amount of people in there, but it wasn't like packed. So it was just kind of my first experience of like being backstage and like seeing what everything's like. And so I'm like, okay, I think we can do this. And the next night was crazy because it was my birthday too, and it was yeah, and it was opening for an artist called Riff Raff, who I'm a huge fan of. So I was nervous as hell. And this was going to be me and Blizzy's night to go up and do it. And so we were expecting like the same crowd size. And we get there that night and it was just packed out. Like tons, way more people. And we are just nervous as hell and like sitting backstage, and it's hot, Florida in the middle of the summer. And we're like listening to our song with like sharing headphones. Make sure we remember the words. And I think I had that moment like before going out on stage where like I'm like, holy shit, like I don't remember anything. I don't remember any of these lyrics. These people, I'm gonna look like an idiot out here. But I think I did a great job. I think we killed it. And it's a crazy memory to have. And yeah, first and last show.
That's awesome. Are there going to be more? Is that a thing that's going to happen now?
I hope so. I'm such an introverted person, and there's not much of a music scene out here. And I think for me to feel comfortable doing shows, I would like to have my boys with me, or at least have more of a following that people might sing along. You know?
Is your platform like Twitch? Or
what do you mean? I don't use Twitch.
Because you said like you'd made music with your friends like through online. Is it through Twitch or like these other platforms?
We just we used to just put it on YouTube, and then we found each other, and then started talking like that and just sending it back and forth, like collabing that way.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it's insane.
The early 2000s, mid 2000s were the best. That's how I know. I didn't meet Blizzy like that. I met him I don't know. I met him in person, but I met some other, like everybody else in that group of yours. Like I met them all online.
Yeah.
How crazy. See, I just recently started getting into watching well, not recently, like now, like recently the last 3 or 4 years, listening and discovering music through YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And this past year, because of the pandemic, is how I discovered Twitch, which I always thought was for video games. But my cousin, the Dapper Rapper, is on Twitch and was always talking about it. And now there's a lot of musicians and collaborations going on through Twitch.
Wow. So yeah, see, I didn't even know that.
On Twitch.
Yeah.
I have no clue what a Twitch is. I'm sticking with YouTube. I'm okay with YouTube.
Well, I thought it was.
They get to talk to you live and hear you live and such. It's interesting.
That's cool.
All right. Yeah, Chubby is not about it. Chubby's barely about when we go live, the mental prep.
I do, because even though I'm not a performer per se like you guys, but I just don't like being in front of the camera. Even though it's ironic, even though I modeled and did this for years and things, not anymore.
We all find our niche.
That's like more introverted.
A lot of the time, I don't like it either. I like shooting music videos; it's fun, but I don't know. I'm pretty private.
As soon as it's over, you're like, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Same. I guess people don't even know if we're alive or not, because it's like, hey, we're not a what is it called? The social media presence. We don't have one. We do, but just with our.
But how funny that you're so artistic, both of you, and that you're able to create these things, and you do. Thank you, by the way, for still sharing all your gifts and your work. You share it. But you're like, and I'm done. I'm gonna go back into my bubble.
I've always said I think if I didn't make music, I don't even know if I would have social media for real.
Same. Well, not the music part, but the social media part. If I wasn't doing what we're doing,
for sure. Like I don't know. Maybe I would, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe I wouldn't.
I don't know who has been in the same situation, but like I always wanted to like delete all my social medias. Like I had like one time I was pissed off last year. I'm like, I'm deleting everything. I don't care. Goodbye.
That's not my life.
I no filters and other people that I only know online, and then we can't do that. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man, Chris, you cannot leave us.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be here.
You're gonna hang out with Ellie in the waiting room.
But yes, thank you for joining us.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I got a new album to listen to, Paperface.
Yeah, let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Give you an honest opinion, like I have.
Yeah.
Honest opinions is all you're ever gonna get from us. There's a reason we're called No Filters, No Fears.
Yeah.
But we say it always with love. Like we're not gonna be like, "Ay, es caca."
No, with respect. But thank you. Now,
thank you so much.
Of course, guys. Thank you.
Listening to melody.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Brian.
You're literally a top fan on Facebook.
Yeah, I make sure to try to like as much as I can.
We appreciate it.
No, of course. As an artist myself, I like to support and give back when I can, especially for friends.
Yes. Have you found? Actually, this is a question for everyone, and I'm sure that everyone is going on their head. Have you found that most artists are usually your bigger supporters? Other artists are usually the ones that come out and like show all the love because they know the struggle.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when they're supporting, it's more like they're advertising, though. They'll be hey, just dropped in to say hi, and it's like, okay, I don't even know who these people are, type of thing, But in general, though, like, of course, friends and other artists, friends especially, or acquaintances, you kind of gravitate to one another and kind of look. I mean, really. You try to support however you can, whether it's a like or a mention or something.
A share, yeah. I mean, we always say it. I support artists through and through. When I can, I will, and when I say I'm going to, I am. It's just sometimes it takes a little while, but that's what matters. That you support everybody, because if we don't, then who?
Exactly. And yeah, it's not always easy. Like it's just to get people to pay attention and care. Really, at the end of the day, is it's not always. It doesn't always go the way you expect it to, I guess.
Right. And
Well,
for those that know and for those that don't know, this is the face of the person who composed my quotey quotes intro.
Yes, I came up with that one day. Just it came together quickly, and I'm glad you like it.
I jam out to it every time it's playing. I'm like,
did we choose from like 3? You gave us 3.
Yeah, I sent like some like low quality, like, hey, I just got some ideas here. See if you like any. And then it's like, okay, this one. And I'm like, oh, okay. I think that there was another one that I thought you guys might pick. And I was like, oh, that one? Okay, sure. And then I recorded it like more properly. And I was like, I'm just gonna throw in like a little lead thing in the middle of it. And then I was like, oh wow, that actually came out much better than I expected, so that was good.
Thank you so much.
I mean, we did narrate it too, and then she was, after all, it was her choice because it's her quote theme.
They're my quote quotes.
No, I'm glad. You never know what other people are gonna like, and so I just went forward and threw some things that I thought were interesting out there. So.
The infamous question, Brian, what was your first performance?
I guess my first ones might have been like playing outside in front of places, but like real like gigs that I consider like actual, telling people about and stuff. I played in Miami. I played this warehouse place that existed back in like the early 2000s in Miami. It was called The Alley. And I had a band. It was called Overboard. It was like bored as in boredom.
Oh,
and
cool.
So what happened was me and a friend worked together, and we both played guitar, and we had a bass player, and we didn't have a drummer or anything. And we were just going around Miami to go by these venues and see what they looked like. And then when we stopped by this place, I made like a legal turn or make a wrong move, and I got pulled over and I got a ticket from the police. So that was already like a weird thing. And then so finally we get there, and I don't know any of these people. I haven't called them, nothing. And I meet these kids around my age. So this is back in like 2002. And they're like, hey, come in, well, who are you? Like, why are you here? Type of thing. And so we started explaining we're in a band and we play shows. And they were like, okay, that's awesome. They never heard our music. They're like, you want to play a show in like 2 weeks? We have an availability coming up. And we're like, yeah, of course, we'll do it. And the only problem was we didn't have a drummer yet. So we had to like hustle real quick and like find a drummer and, promote it and however we could back then, especially through flyers and going around to like all the record stores and like universities and flyering everywhere. And then, so then the gig comes and it was like a big deal. I had some friends there and there was, I don't know how many people, maybe 50, 100, something, but it was nice.
Oh, wow. Well, except for the getting pulled over part.
Yeah, no, but it was kind of weird. It was like that, you would think like that might be a bad sign of like, if you believe in that stuff, like that, what was that about? But no, it's just.
Maybe it got you there just at the right time to meet the person that offered you the gig.
Maybe it was just like supposed to happen just like that. And so the people ended up becoming my friends, and we ended up playing that venue 10 times in the next year and a half, something like that.
That is impressive. It's like I just dropped in 10 more times.
Yeah, they just be like, hey, we got another gig. You want to do it? Yeah. And, I would have played every week, I think by the end, people were like, oh my God, do you guys again? Like, do you guys live here or something? But it was all good. And, I met a ton of other bands, and that's really when I got to know the scene in Miami, because it was like, I saw maybe 100, 200 different bands just from going to these shows like that. And
nice.
I got to know everybody and had phone numbers and contacts, and I had like a real networking between it. And, sometimes I would get other gigs or be able to help other bands get on my gigs by being in contact.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it was good. We did good. That first band, we were in like a magazine, like in like a zine for University of Miami, and we played a bunch of gigs. We did our thing, and then I had, of course, different bands after that, and I played as a solo artist later as well.
I had a question about your solo part, because I remember you were traveling at that time, right? Is that when you were doing Full Circle?
Yes. So years later, I had my first band, Overboard. I had another band called Cerebris, and then I had a band that was called Scapegoat, and also Synfamy later on. So then those all ended, and then I had decided, like, I had this like dream basically to travel the world. And so I started planning it, me and my family. And so I realized, like, well, if I'm going to have like a dream vacation, like what else would make it even better? And I was like, why don't I play shows in some of the places I'm visiting? So before all this happened, when the plans were coming together, I decided, let me record an album of my music. And I found a place in South Florida, and it was basically like this like amazing like house that was, half of it was turned into like a recording studio. And I decided I didn't have a band anymore, but I was like, I know how to play a bunch of instruments, and I can sing okay and whatever. Let's just make it happen. I know the songs obviously very well. So we did. I recorded a full album called Full Circle, and I called it that because, first of all, one of the songs was called Full Circle, so it's like a self like title after that song. But also, it just felt like I'd come full circle. I'd started as like a solo artist at the very beginning, trying to make a band, and then I had all these bands, and now I was back by myself, and like it was kind of like the progression. And some of the songs had been around a long time, so I felt like, well, look, this is like the progression of me as an artist. And then so when we planned the traveling, I decided, okay, so let me start trying to book gigs in these cities that I didn't know anybody in. So I started like mass like emailing like every venue I could possibly find in like every major city. So I emailed like Austin, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, New York City. And it seemed like for every 25 emails I sent, one venue would get back to me. And they'd be like, yeah, you want to play this show? And I'd be like, yeah, of course, let's do it. And so I just get on these random gigs in different cities. And so I did Austin first, and then I did Chicago, and then New York City. And then eventually I played in Nashville, Tennessee also. So it was like a whole thing. It was kind of like my album had just come out, and I was like touring my album.
I was going to say that it wasn't new. So when we see you in the mountains, when you send us your videos and stuff, it's like the nomad heart is a part of you.
Well, you know what it is? I love to travel and I love making music, but like when I know which video you're talking about that I sent, it's okay to send it like in your house or whatever, but I was like going out that day anyway to like a state park or something, and I was like, this is a cooler view, so let's make it a little, I don't know, more fun or something.
We appreciate it. We loved it.
Yeah.
It was a grateful episode. We were grateful for the video, so it's okay.
Yes. It was the gratitude episode for real.
Oh, true.
Brian, all right. The time has come to bring the brilliant minds into the room all at the same time.
Welcome, everybody.
Hello, it's a party.
We haven't had one of these in a while, like a bunch of people.
For real. The last time we had it was the 10th episode when we had the game trivia thing. And Brian, you were on that one as well.
Yeah, I was. Long time.
That was the last time that it was like this many people. I have a question for the room. Vinyl, CD, cassette, or digital?
Vinyl.
All right, who's gonna go? I'll go first then. I like it all. I've bought it all. I grew up more in the CD age, so I'm a little more partial to CDs just because that's what I enjoyed mainly as a kid. But actually, when I first started, it was cassettes, and then it was CDs, and then it became more vinyl over time with some digital sprinkled in.
All right, so there's preferences. I believe in the preferences bit because I can't discard any one of them. Chris, what's your thing?
It's vinyl.
Oh, and he busts out the doors.
I got a wall of vinyl right next to me. I love vinyl, but I mean, I'm definitely super thankful for like digital music now. Like being able to release it as an artist is incredible. So yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I like vinyl.
Ellie?
When I was growing up, we didn't really have internet consecutively, so I would have to get whatever my dad had lying around. So he would have like cassettes. He had like a Black Sabbath cassette with like this really old like boombox thing, and I would stick the cassette in, hear Black Sabbath, take it out to turn it back around, and then all the string would be like unwinding, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna kill me. I would get like a pencil and be like, all right, got it, and then put it back in. Then after that, I moved to another house, and we had a neighbor that found out that I was into music and gave me a bunch of vinyl with a turntable, and I connected it to my guitar amp, and I would just listen to vinyl like that. A lot of Dragon Force and Metallica and like old stuff like that. And then as I got older, got internet and started paying for these streaming services, and I realized, okay, the quality in vinyl and cassette is so raw. Like it's so cool because you can actually hear what the artist sounds like or what the producer thinks the artist sounds like, right? Try to make them sound as best they can. But in digital music, if you love to listen to music and you love to study anything of it, I mean every instrument, like every nuance, that's the good thing about digital music. You just pop on some like monitors, or you listen to it through studio speakers, and it just, you hear it all. So I like that about streaming. Not so accessible, so that's also good.
You had started to answer. Truby. Usually like, vinyl, and then you stopped.
Oh no, vinyl! I'm looking at my vinyl collection right in front of me with my.
Well, Truby and I know this about each other. So
I'm looking at it, and I'm like just looking at my collection of David Bowie, and I'm just like, vinyl. Even though I do appreciate, digital, because it is easy access. I can carry a turntable and a vinyl wherever I go. That would look ridiculous.
Well, now they got little portable ones that come in like a suitcase.
Yeah, I got one of those.
I know this because I have one.
Yeah, I wasn't dealing with any of that. I am okay. No.
Yeah,
no. And just CDs, when they used to get scratched, was just a pain in the ass, and you have to clean them. And just making sure.
When we all found out the weird ways of cleaning the scratches with peanut butter or alcohol and the coffee filter.
Yeah.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Somebody told me peanut butter. I don't advise it.
Never use that.
I don't advise it. Vinyl for sure, my favorite, because I collect vinyl. I collect Broadway musicals, and I collect old rock and jazz albums because I love jazz. And actually, my second would not be CDs, even though I had a CD book like this thick, full of like pages and pages of CDs of all. My mother thought I was crazy because my one page would have Britney Spears, and the very next page had Pantera, and the very next page had like Lauryn Hill, and the next page had like every kind of mix of music. It was actually cassette tapes. I love cassettes, and I cherished and worshipped my Walkman, which I say that to anybody now, and they're like, a what? A who? A Walkman. That was the iPod before the iPod.
Yeah.
It was the MP3 players. I remember those, the MP3 players,
and the really old school earphones that one would break, and you only had the one side working because it was just a little baby wire that held it together. Yeah, I was about the cassettes, and I appreciate digital more than anything because of the access. Like I was saying, the accessibility to it. And because when you have the proper sound systems or whatever to like play it back at your face, like I've sat with friends with a big TV and they have the whole setup of like speakers all around you, because they're also musicians, speakers all around you. And we put on YouTube, and you're like at the concert, you're like, we're there, it's happening.
I love that.
So yeah, I love that. Yeah, so I get the experience, but vinyl. the crackly cracks.
Yeah.
You know, Chris has a song in his Paperface album they call Cassettes, right?
Yeah. I should have brought up cassettes because that was really the first music I listened to as a kid. Like, the first music I owned was cassettes. So they're pretty cool.
Mixtapes were a thing.
My dad had an 8-track, the big ones. I had those, but they didn't
Pop up. It was like a box.
But you're gonna carry that. Like, that is not. You're not able to carry that anywhere. That
I
is
think my
just.
mom still has an 8-track collection somewhere.
My first cassette was Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. You guys know that one?
Yeah, I get knocked out. I get up again.
Oh yeah, I don't know by name. I don't know shit by name, but I know it. Yeah.
Does anybody else remember what their first cassette, CD, whatever?
I remember buying all the 80s Metallica albums, and I would go to the store and like pay in like quarters because that's what I had. Because I was young and that's all I had. So I was like, so I remember getting that and like Nirvana Nevermind and like Green Day Dookie and stuff along those lines.
I remember stealing those from my sibling. My older brother had it.
I don't have to buy them. I'll just
CD, and I was like listening to it. I had no clue what it was saying because I didn't know English at the time. I was like, what? I was living in Puerto Rico. I don't know. I didn't know anything about it, but I still liked it. And then when I learned English, I listened to it again. I'm like, oh, that's what it's saying. Good old time.
How about you, Ellie? Do you remember? What's the first one that pops into your head as the first?
The first CD I ever got was a Nevermind CD, and every piece of music that I've ever gotten has been a gift. I go to someone's house and I'm like looking through their collection because, you know, I'm invited by my older brother or my dad. My dad's an artist and my older brother is a musician. So he'd hang out with all these people and I would just sit there too young to talk to anyone and just going through everyone's stuff. And I would find something that looked cool. I found Nevermind. I'm like, a baby in a pool? And he's like, that's really cool. You're going to like it. I was like, really? I couldn't stop listening to it. I couldn't. It was on repeat in my room as loud as I could put it. I had like this little karaoke like player that had a little camera on it. You could put a CD in, grab your mic, and just sing along. Yeah, and I
That's
just had
awesome.
a blast with that.
So good.
Yeah.
I don't think any of you would know who the artist, my artist was. I can remember, and this is the first one that pops into my head, really. Madidalia Hernandez. So I grew up in Dominican Republic, and she was very famous on the island, Madidalia. And she actually used to sing with 440, which, does anybody know who Juan Luis Guerra is?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was in a group called 440, and she sang in that group. Everybody split up. He went and became uber famous, and she became famous in certain parts of the world, specifically in DR. And I was obsessed with that lady. Like, that's all I would do until one day I got on stage and I got to sing with her. And I was like 8, and she could not believe I knew all her songs. And she was like,
what a dream.
yeah, no, it was. I was nuts. And I finished the song, composed, sang, the song ended. I went back to being an 8-year-old and lost my shit in front of everybody.
You know what you reminded me of? When, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I would listen, like, all the music that I would like discover will be through like telenovelas or TV shows we will watch. You know, like when, you know, MTV was a thing when we were a teenagers, I'm sure, you know. So those were the good days. Waking up at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, when MTV was still MTV and they would play all the music.
Right.
And VH1 was still around doing Behind the Music, which I was obsessed with. Do y'all remember Behind the Music?
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's where I got all my info from.
So what would be, and this goes to each one of our 3 guests, as your final thought kind of deal. In your Behind the Music, what is a key element that has to appear on your Behind the Music about your musical journey?
I'll talk at once.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a loaded one.
I'm only going to share that with my subscribers, so I don't know.
I'm gonna either Brian's gonna say that one for a rainy day. Okay, fine.
No, let me think about it.
I'll do less deep. I'll do less deep.
Say it again.
Well, because what I was saying is, if they were gonna do a behind the music on you, right, where you are now as an artist, what is something that has to be in that behind the music episode that is like has been such an important part of your musical journey?
For me personally, like it definitely has to be my faith. Like it has to be there because that's the only reason why I'm doing this again. Like I'm a firm believer in the Bible and in Jesus, and that's the only reason why I'm even doing this. So I feel like a lot of people don't know. They don't have a way. They don't know what to do. And I was there because I was like, I grew up. I mean, you guys are Hispanic, so you know I grew up in like a house where it was santeros. So my whole life I felt lost. I felt like there was something wrong. There was a darkness over me and I didn't like it. And it made me stumble in all aspects of my life, always. And one time I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like as in life, I can't do this anymore. And I asked the bandmates that I had at the time, which Chubby knew, it was Dante and Elvis, and they both knew about God because their moms took them to church. My parents never took me to church, so I didn't know. And they were like, you need to read the Bible, just read. And I was like, okay. And I started reading and I started finding out who's the Holy Spirit, what's love, who's the creator, like all this stuff. And that filled me with a sense of purpose because it was like, yo, you're not here just because. There's a purpose for everything and everyone on this planet, and everyone has a job to do, and that's your job. Chubi, that's your job. You know, everyone here, Chris, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I'm sorry,
Brian.
But Brian, we all have a job, and let's do it. Let's support each other. Let's love each other. This is not about hating each other, which is what I feel like a lot of us do. We just hate on each other and push each other down, and then nobody does anything. And then you die and you didn't live. Like my mom is almost 70 and she's never done anything. She's like a child. Like she has no passions. So yeah, just to work, live to work and raise children. That's it. Never did anything else. So that's what would probably
I'm glad you found
there.
the thing that pushed you back into your purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know who wants to go next. Brian?
Sure. Well, now that is a tough act to follow, but what I thought about was, I think a lot of it, what would have to be there would be that, even as a musician and you're proud of your work, it's still scary and it's still very tough to put yourself out there. And I think I would have to talk about, like, even when I was afraid to do something, whether it was play shows, make my own album, travel and play, around, or just get together with a bunch of other musicians. The fact that even if I was afraid to do it, that I just persevered anyway. And, there was a lot of times where it didn't go the way I planned, and I met a lot of musicians that I had nothing in common with. And, there was a lot of like false starts over the years before things would eventually come together. So I think it would just be about like persevering even when things are not going well and when you're afraid and you don't really have like an answer of, what you're doing or why you're doing it. You just trust in yourself and trust in your, your goals and your own music and hopefully your happiness and your joy to share it with others.
Heard that. Okay. I like these answers. Chris?
Yeah, all right. I think I got mine. I think just knowing the whole story of me, and I mean, there is no story of me without my friends that I do music with too, and the people that I met through it, because this kind of goes back to the whole like digital thing, like in a good way. I always think if it wasn't for me making music in my basement and putting it online, I would have never found these people in the world from different walks of life, different places, and like to be able to meet up with them and become brothers over like through just a passion, through putting music on the internet, finding people to connect with like that. And oddly enough, like having the same taste in music, obviously, but like having the same kind of sense of humors and just that bond that we have now that, I mean, it never would have happened if we wouldn't have been doing this. We would never know each other. So it's still insane to me to think back that like, I would have never thought I'd meet so many amazing people. Not even just people I collaborate with, but fans that reach out to me and just talking to really incredible people all over the place just because of music. So that's awesome. For sure. That's number one. Yeah.
That's the beauty of music, and that's why I love it. You can know somebody from across the world that likes the same song you do. Like,
yeah.
But it's like we say just about every episode, we are not islands, right? And there's always something that brings us all together that reminds us, right, that we are connected in one way or another. And how beautiful to find your purpose, to be able to follow your fear, or to be able to find a family of friends or inspiration in all these different ways, is the reminder that we are absolutely connected. Oh, okay. My eye has been tearing the entire episode. I'm like, why are you crying? It's not even a sad episode. And only this eye has been crying.
There's crying now. This is changing you.
Yeah, it is.
Why am I like this? But the whole yeah.
But yeah, no, I just feel like, well, my final thoughts to all of this is, I don't know, just share your music, whether you think people are gonna like it or not. Share your art, share your passion, and I don't know, it's gonna fulfill you in some way, right? You know, as long as you're doing it for yourself. Trust me, my poetry, I have so many things that I haven't recorded because I'm like, I can't. But then I started again, and it's like, oh, okay, I feel so much better about it, you know? I'm a huge believer in sharing something good. Like, if you like an artist, if you like a piece of music, share it. Let somebody else hear it. Because you never know who's going to actually like it and be like, oh, let's share that again, you know? And you don't know who you're helping. You don't know who's seeing what you're sharing. And at the end, somebody could, you know, I don't know, make it big on their own tiny little world. And it's like, you know, I don't know. I find that to be amazing, to just be able to help somebody in some fragment, in some way, you know? And I don't know. That's the beauty of the digital world, you know, that you are actually, is accessible. Everybody could see it like this, you know?
And it's the layers of it, like you're saying about the helping. It's the layers of helping the artist who now has new followers and the whole thing. But it's also, I know that a couple of people have introduced me to artists that quite literally saved my life. Like, their work reminded me of who I was and what I wanted to do. Like, the words I couldn't find, they gave to me. And that was somebody sharing it with me, that they're like, oh my God, this is the jam. And I'm like, they're like super sad. And they're like, this is the jam. Yeah, okay, this is the jam. Oh my God, it's the jam.
I feel you. It's like you hear it and you're like, okay, this is about me. This is personal. They know me.
Yeah. I don't know why you like it, because it's about me. They wrote it for me. You take it so personally. And I tell my friends and I tell people all the time, I'm like, I don't have the words to explain how much you mean to me. But here's this really pretty song.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
I love sharing music when I can actually formulate my sentences.
It's a love language.
Love it.
Well, do any of you, so please, each of you share how, and we're also going to be posting this, how they can find you. I'll start with, because this is who I'm looking at in this order. This is Chris, Ellie, Brian. What you're doing right now, if they can, where they can check you out, either on any of your platforms, or if you have any performances coming up, any albums that, or anything that they can go and support you and check you out. Chris.
Yeah, so Chris Gwappin on Spotify, Apple Music, and chrisgwap.com. You can go check out my new album, and got some cool t-shirts and merch up. And yeah, definitely working on a new album too. And I want to try to do an acoustic version of Paperface eventually. So yeah, just.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love acoustic albums. Go for it. I support this. I'm choking on my own saliva. Ellie.
To be so excited about his work that you're getting me excited to check it out, actually. So I'm gonna check it out.
Good. You all are talented. Check each other's music out.
Yeah, definitely.
Right now I'm in a band called The Leered. You can check us out. We're usually active on Instagram and Facebook. We have a few shows coming up this month. We just played one this Saturday. We have one on the 22nd at Ollie's Pub in Cape Coral. We have another one in also Ollie's on the 27th. And then on the 28th, we have one at Nice Guys. It's like a record store, pizza bar thing. It's cool, pretty cool. And we just came out with an EP called Surrounded Part 2. It's everywhere. So it's iTunes, Spotify, Bandcamp, all that. We have some merch out right now on Dizzy Jam. We have a link tree on our 2 socials on Instagram and on Facebook. And you could just check out everything from there. And yeah, I'm really excited about this EP. And we're working on something new now, a little heavier and a little more genre oriented, because since, like I said, we just started this band, so we were trying to find our sound. We usually tend to go with a heavier sound, and we were leaning towards like punk and hard rock type of fusion. So this next album is going to be very oriented and like, okay, we know what we sound like now, so let's just hit it in that direction.
That's awesome.
Before we continue, I was so excited to go to your show, and then I realized I am not even close to you guys.
Yeah.
Away, and I am sad, but I have to make a trip down to you guys.
We can do a road trip. We've been trying to do a road trip.
Do it. Come over here, and I have a house, so it's an apartment, but you know, it's open to you guys if you want, and there's also hotels here, so whatever you guys want. My doors are open.
Thank you. Now I will hold my excitement for when we do go to a show, because we have to. And okay, now to Brian. Go. Now it's your turn.
Sure. Okay, so I have definitely Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything. It's you can find it through, if you search Sinfamy, which is SINPHEM as in Mary Y. But also, if you want to just like hear the songs and see all the videos and things of pretty much my whole music history over like 20 years, you can go to reverbnation.com/BP rock. And then I also have reverbnation.com/Sinfamy. And I have about 200 songs on each of those. Reverb Nation's like 400 songs in total. I probably got about 75 videos, you name it. So
I got tired. You did a lot.
And if you want to hear my album Full Circle, that's all available online for free streaming. All of the stuff is available for free to stream online.
That's awesome. See, look at me. I'm gonna stop.
We're very emotional.
I get excited for you. I get excited that now I have new music to listen to. But I get excited because now I get to brag about more people.
It's just that me personally knowing these 3 individuals, like personally, it's just like, I don't know, it's just exciting. Like I've known Brian since I was like 20, so it's been a long time, and then each of you.
So something inside you when you see them talking or perform, you're like, I know them.
I know, like I've been there. Like I was.
That's my friend.
How long did Sinfamy lasted for? 5 years.
Like 4 years.
Yeah, so I was like there through the whole entire time the band went up.
You were in our music video, Juby. So
see,
I am in I am in plenty of music videos in my early 20s. I don't know why I stopped doing it, but yeah, anyway, I guess it's the whole introvert thing. I went back, but yeah, and then when Ellie and her band, you know, the old one, you know, tag, and now this one, I'm just like, I don't know, it's just exciting. And then Chris with from when he started until now, it's like, I don't know, to me personally, it's like an evolution for all three of you, you know, and it's like, I don't know, I'm excited that you guys are here, and now it's like we get to share,
awesome.
I don't know, with the rest of the world, you know, so it's exciting to me.
Cool.
It's exciting. Vanessa's the only one that doesn't know anything. And I'm like,
I don't, but I like it. This is so I have the whole Chris feeling and vibe going on. You know, he found his tribe. Now I'm being introduced to new people and new musical possibilities. I'm telling you, it's my love language. So the three of you are like a gift for my birthday from Chubby.
yes, and the 10 is coming, and the best
Oh my
month ever.
goodness. Happy early birthday.
Yeah, happy early
Thank you. So you all answered what you're doing. Chubby, your final thoughts?
I already gave my final thoughts.
That was your final. Okay, final thought. That was final thought.
Yeah, just
Of
share.
all the days, we're not gonna have quotey quotes. It's funny because the quotey quotes man is on here, but it was more important.
I can play it for you if you want. I have my guitar.
It was important for us to have you guys be heard and talk about your experience. And thank you so much for coming on with us. I can't wait to hear everything in its entirety. Brian, you're giving me work with 400, but it's okay. We're going to make it happen.
No, just start with Full Circle, the album. That's 12 songs.
And
I recorded all the instruments myself and did all the vocals, you name it. And then from there, you know, you can check out my other stuff.
Okay.
Other bands.
Give me a good place to start.
Yeah. Three albums to listen to, you know, just listen to those first and then go and
listen to the first three and go from there. Got it.
Yeah.
And there will be plenty of sharing. So if you get tagged on my Instagram, just roll with it. I'm a tagger. It happens.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Like we always say, stay fearless, everyone.
Nice meeting you guys. Nice meeting you guys.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.